Well, hello there, gang. Welcome to the 30. I want to thank you for watching. If this is your first time, I want to thank you for joining us. Make sure you do me a huge favor, like and share the broadcast. I want to make sure that others, your friends or connections, make sure that they see what we are going to be discussing today, tonight, wherever you are, whether it is night where you are, morning, afternoon, wherever you are, I want to welcome you to the 30. Also, if you have any questions or comments as we speak with our guests, make sure that you drop them in the comments field. We're going to have a great discussion. Tonight, we're going to be talking about community building. And our guest is going to give you some strategies as to how to scale your organization and how to scale your business through community building. I am excited about it. I was backstage and we were talking about how can she help our business. So I know she's going to give you some great ideas and tips and some strategies. So I am looking forward to it. Let's get this party started right now. Welcome to the 30. Yes, this is your host, Patrick. Again, I want to thank you so much for joining us on another week. We do this each week. We do this on Thursday. So if you're watching us live, thank you. If you're watching us in replay, also thank you. And our goal is to help you, give you more knowledge and thoughts and ideas from our guests, where we focus on leadership. We also focus on entrepreneurship, small business, and personal and professional development. Those are what we focus on the 30. So share the broadcast, pass it on to your connections or to your friends. We're streaming live, folks, on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and we have some great things that's going to be coming up later on. I'm going to share some good things that we're going to be doing down the road. We have some excellent guests that will be coming up in the future. But for today, I am going to introduce to you all the way from Spain. The last time I spoke to her, she was in Turkey, and now she's in Spain. I can't believe it. Well, welcome. Pixie, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing good.
Well, thank you for joining us. You are in Spain at this point. I think the last time we were on a stage together with Zeph talking about virtual events, you were in Turkey and now you are in Spain. Wow.
Yes, in Spain, Valencia. Yes, a lot has changed over the 3 weeks. I moved around quite a bit.
Yes, you do. So thank you for basically taking the time out to join us here on the 30. And we're going to be talking about, as we said, community building. You're going to give us some strategies as to how we can use that to scale our organizations and businesses. Tell our viewers, Pixie, who is Pixie Cigar? What is she all about? That name is awesome, Pixie. I love it. So tell our guests who you are.
So Pixie Cigar, I have nothing to do with the tobacco business. Fun fact, Cigar is actually a very famous racehorse of the 90s in the US. My mom was an absolute fan, and that became very part of the Pixie Cigar identity, the racehorsing. So I'm half Hungarian, half Chinese. On the Hungarian side, I'm Romani Gypsy. I mostly grew up in China and really built my community building life in China and Southeast Asia. I'm a community builder. I love creating different kind of contents. I did stuff from theater, production, all these things. I find like whenever you can connect with someone with creativity, it gets me extremely excited. And most importantly, I absolutely love seeing how can I get other people to duplicate what I already know and to scale community building, have more people get into the world of community building. It's a very, very exciting place to be.
That is awesome. You talk about community building, and I see the passion in you. And I know you from 3 weeks ago to now. You've always seemed to be very passionate about community building. The first thing is, what is community building?
It's always that thing that makes you think. I feel that there's 100 answers. Everyone you ask, every community builder would define it differently. But essentially, to me, so if we talk about community building, what's a community first, right? A community to me is a place where people with shared hopes, dreams, interests, fears gets together. And me as that community builder, what I'm doing is, one, I'm creating that space for them to come together, for them to know that, okay, I am welcomed in this space. I can be vulnerable. But not only be vulnerable, I can achieve my dreams. And it's my job as that community builder to facilitate that. I'm not telling people how should you achieve your dreams. I'm giving them the tools, empowering the members to help each other out. So it's really creating that space, triggering interactions amongst them. Because sometimes you kind of need someone to bring you together, to matchmake two people, and then they feel comfortable to share about themselves, to interact, to achieve great things. So I just do that sparking. And that's what community builder is doing, sparking.
Sparking. Okay. So it's a spark. It's a beginning part, right? So that's good. And how long have you been doing this, Pixie?
Since 2010. Wow. Okay. I was just looked at my calendar here. It's 2021 already. So it's almost for the past 10, nearly 11 years.
Oh, wow. Wow. And
Yeah.
now your communities are all over the world. As you said, you have thousands and thousands of people as part of your community. Let's talk about that, and let's take a deep dive. Let's tell our audience, our viewers, what are some of the strategies that you started to employ when you first move into community building?
Ooh. So when I first moved into community building, it was 2010. I had no clue what I was doing was community building. I didn't have even a label for it. And I started out in the NGO space. So what we were doing was we were focusing on culture preservation in China. How can you get minorities in China to understand their own culture? And a lot was because of the Cultural Revolution and people just not really caring and holding on to their cultural values, history. It was just kind of a blank history to a lot of people, not only just younger people, even people in their 50s knew nothing about their own heritage. So we were working on things to kind of bring back that culture, let them recognize a lot of awareness and education. And at that time, I honestly did not have much strategy. What I realized is that you had to create a story for people to understand what was the value for them. And this is something you see in general marketing, right? Marketing 101. How can you create a hook for someone? But in this case with community building, it's not just a hook, right? It's not just a very smart copywriting that triggers someone to click on an ad. You need to touch their hearts. You need to make them feel that they should also be invested in whether this idea, this common goal, and come together and do something. So that's where we really started out. And most communities essentially start from that level. What is their goal and what are their values? Whether it be a corporate, an NGO, a startup, it always begins with creating the value and also the common goal, creating that pretty much how are we going to hook people into this community.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the start of it. And then I started looking into the startup world. So I went from NGO world, from cultural preservation to youth development. Youth development was a different ballgame now. I'm not just telling people, educating people that something is important. We need to identify each individual, how can we improve them? Because if someone is coming to you about youth development, There are these 20 years old university students that are not so sure what to do next in their life, and they're lost. And this is the community of them. So next step, we're looking at how can you give them the right tools? How can you give them the right opportunities to take that step? You cannot tell them what to do. This is not school. We're not their parents. But you need to empower them for them to believe that they can take the next step. Some may feel that, okay, Pixie, this seems NGO work, right? It may not apply in a corporate sense. Actually, no, because after that, I started working with startups, with startup founders and people trying to grow their business. And a lot of times they're lost. People are first time doing business. They're not so sure what to do. They're sometimes very alone because people talk about entrepreneurship. There's quite a lonely journey here, right? So you want to make them feel like, okay, we're not alone. And here are the different resources I can take. You look at creating that conversation, making them feel safe, giving them the tools. But I'm not going to be here forever. When you're a community builder, you want to look at scaling, you want to look at the future. So the next step I'm thinking of, hey, how can I get the community involved for them to start doing things instead of me, Pixie Cigar, I am doing events, I'm creating toolkits. It doesn't make sense, right? One person can't do everything. And
Right.
so at that time, that was a few years into the role, I realized that, you know what, I need to start growing community ambassadors, growing a program for the members who are already there, already loving the community, getting them to be the advocates. And this worked really well because when you start doing that, these members, they understand what the other members think. They know exactly what the other people want. And they speak from a different voice that whether me as an NGO or a company cannot speak from. When you have a community that is, let's say, a company-led community, it often has the feeling that, you know, the big brother kind of feel. The
Yeah.
big person's talking from above and they're saying like, okay, you should do this. People are not going to take in that information just like that. They're going to be like, okay, what is your agenda? You want something from me. That's why you're saying that, oh, we should get together. But when it comes from the voice from the community member, they feel that it's more authentic, which is true. So, us as that community builder here, we want to start creating that strategy for them to start creating their own content. So, instead of me once a month doing 5 events, how can I empower 5 community members to do 5 events each in their own city? And this is the way how you slowly scale. And kind of, if you're hearing this evolution from the initial awareness to the content to empowering different leaderships within the community, this is how most communities actually grow.
So it comes down to basically what I'm hearing you saying is that you're empowering others to take the step to help with whatever you're doing. So it's kind of a duplication process, then right? So you
Exactly.
take one, you teach them, and then they teach others, and then the community starts to grow where you're empowering and delegating others to do things on their own. Is that does that summarize what
Yeah,
you're doing?
that summarize a lot, but I would say that you want to look at your community in different levels, right? Because not every single person is going to have that same commitment level as you, right? You're
Sure.
excited, you're pumped. Let's say if it's an interest-based community, you're absolutely loving it. That's why you created it. And I think it's really important to identify that not every single member is going to have that same passion in it. But how can you give them reasons to engage within
Hmm.
their comfort zone? So it could be you identify someone who is very gung ho like you. They are the ones who can be your community advocates, your community
Right.
leaders. There are other people who are maybe very knowledgeable in the subject, but they don't want to be very public. So how can you create a space for them to engage with the community in their own comfort zone? Some people maybe, I just want to like a post. So then you need to create your community strategy in a way that each of these touch points can trigger a different interaction from a different type of member. So then your overall community is active then.
Okay. So is it important then, Pixie, to really know who is part of your team or your community and know what their strengths are, what their passions are? Is that an important strategy?
Absolutely. So you have your internal team, whether it be a group of volunteers, group of friends wanting to create a community, or a company that has their own community team, which every company should have. I'm just going to put it out there. I truly believe that if you are a company looking to scale, whether it be for profit or not for profit, you need to invest in community, whether it be a headcount, few extra hours every week as a founder doing it, or if you have the budget to hire a team to do it. This is a long-term game. And if you don't start investing in it now, you're going to lose out compared to your competitors because they've been already nurturing the community. Communities don't just pop up in 2 weeks. That's not going to happen. I'd love it if that was the deal, but no, this takes months, years to develop and to nurture. So when you have that strong team there, then your community can grow. Within the community itself, before you even start one, you've identified what are your goals, right? You have your company goals and what are the kind of value proposition you have for your members. Then you want to see who are the people that can achieve both parts. When you're, if let's say you're a for-profit company, don't just randomly create a group because you woke up one day and saw your competitor doing a Facebook group and you create one. No, you need to be very, very clear on what are your company objectives. Are you looking for this community to be just a shared space for people to talk about the similar subject that your company is doing? So for example, if you are, let's say, a vegan Whole Foods restaurant or you do vegan products, right? And you want to create a vegan community where people share recipes with each other. Just so happen you are the one who will have these kind of vegan ingredients. That could be a community type. You want them to, you want to nurture more people to be more knowledgeable in vegan cooking. Or your goal is to have a group of expert chefs, especially expert vegan chefs who really already know cooking, and you want to get them in as your like your ambassador community. And this community will be way smaller compared to the general vegan recipe community, right? That will be broader. There will be a big audience of all sorts of different people, from the college students, the working adult, to the 60 years old homemaker who's just trying out new recipes. So when you're a company, you have to identify what are your company goals, then decide what's the community type and who are the people you want in it. Then once you get that group, you split it down to even more detailed level. When you split it out, then you'll be able to figure out, okay, what kind of engagement do I do for this group? Group A, group B, group C. But if you don't know what your company objectives are, what the community hopes and dreams are, and who are the people, you can't really design the right strategy.
Cool. So let's talk about, and then after this one, we'll take a 30-second break and come back. But let's talk about the communities that you've built. What's the size of communities that you've built across the world? The smallest and the largest.
So the smallest probably was my first one. I'm calling it the smallest because when I started out, I didn't think data was important. 10 years ago, me starting community building, I'm like, yeah, we're bringing people together to have fun and engage,
Mm,
which now looking back at it, I'm like, why? Yes, you're bringing people together to engage, have fun, achieve their goals, but you need data. You cannot just do things without measuring, without tracking, without understanding impact. So at that time, 10 years ago, we did not look at what are the impact numbers. So I could remember a few people, some of the uncles and aunties who came for our events, and that's about it. So there's hardly anyone I can really pinpoint. I have no numbers there. But as of the latest one that I've dealt with, which was the largest size, it was around probably the impact was around 100,000 members. So we had, that was the bigger community itself. And then you had the more micro one, the Facebook group specifically was around 25,000 members. And then the rest were what was the impact? So impact in a sense, you have people in one group, right? As a company, you may not be able to bring every single one of your customers into one group, but how can you create other touch points? So for example, on education level, we had different live streams and learning content in our own learning portal. And this was with Alibaba. This was with the Malaysia office it's called Lazada, e-commerce site there. So with that part, how can you create a whole experience that even though when they're not technically in your Facebook group, which is your technical walls of your community, how are you still enabling your customers to grow and be better at what you want them to be? Which in our cases, we wanted them to become better e-commerce sellers, because if they're better e-commerce sellers, they serve our customers better. So it's that whole circle.
What I'm hearing you saying then is that there must be a goal first and foremost. So I'm going to hold that point, right? And I'm going to ask you to come up with your top 3. So it seems like the first one is set a goal. So give me the top 2 after that of strategies. So I'm going to come back in 30 seconds, and then you'll give us your top 3 strategies for scaling a business or organization through community building. We'll be right back. 30 seconds. All right, we are on with Pixie Cigar, the coolest name in the world. And we're talking about scaling your business, your organization through community building. And before we took our 30-second break, I asked Pixie to come up and give us her 3 top strategies, because we're talking about strategies, right? Your 3 top strategies that we can use to scale our organizations or business through community building. The first one you said was you need to have a goal.
Yes.
All right. So what are the other 2 because we're short on time. So what are the other 2?
So you need to set a goal that aligns with your business objective, values, and member hopes. That's the must part. Second part is to beta test ideas. You need to feel very comfortable to be vulnerable within your community. They know the best. You don't wait till you have a perfect idea and then launch it. They're the people who are initial beta testers. They're the group of people where you can throw an idea and say, hey, what do you think about this as a feature? What do you think about this as our new menu in our restaurant? They're the ones who can give you the best feedback, and you save so much time by doing that. Last would be, don't try to do everything yourself. And that is the hardest thing for a company or a community builder, because you want to have control. You want to know that, like, okay, I got it covered. It's exactly how I want it. But the thing is, communities will grow organically. People are so different, and you want to utilize the differences, the diversity in your community. Because if you are doing everything yourself, whether it be as a founder or community builder, you're going to start being short-sighted. You won't understand. You'll start really remembering this is the way, and then you forget all the other diversity within your community. So you want to bring in that community there, bring in the members to grow your community for you. It not just gives you time on your own so you don't burn out, but also make sure that content still stays relevant to the members, and you're actually you're on the track to promising what you initially had in your initial community goals and business objective.
Wow, Pixie, that's solid. That last point is so critical, because there are a lot of leaders, entrepreneurs. I know I fell into that trap as well, and for years, as far as entrepreneurship, and then leadership, wanting to do it by myself, right? And that's a big piece that all of us make. That mistake that we make is we want to do it by ourselves. And as you're saying, when we're building communities, that's a mistake.
Yeah, definitely. I wish I learned this lesson earlier in life. I always try to do it myself. I'm like, nope, that's not the right way to do it.
Yeah, that is solid. So great, Pitsy. Pitsy, this is great information. You know, you always have a space here. Anytime that you want to come back, you can always send me a message and we'll put you on. So you always have a space here. As we end, because we're coming short on time, as we normally do under 30, which we call what? Rapid fire. So Pitsy, I'm going to put you into the hot seat and we're going to give you a couple of questions for rapid fire, and I need some quick answers. First one. What is the last leadership book you've read?
Oh, doesn't necessarily count as leadership book, but will help you. It's called The Culture Map. It's a really good way to understand cultural communication. So if you're building communities beyond your own cultural comfort zone, you should really read that book. It's super, super helpful.
All right, so The Culture Map. That's great. Next one. What is your favorite song, Pitsy? You are all over the world, so I know you have all different types of music. How many now? Before we do that, how many different languages do you speak?
Fluently, English, Mandarin. Then so in the skill English, Mandarin, then Cantonese. Japanese, I can read and understand, like I get the point most of the time, like 60% there. And then Malay, I can order at the restaurant, I can order food. And now I am struggling to understand Spanish. So that's
Wow.
Spanish is my next goal.
That is amazing. I love it. I love it. This is great. Thank you. So then with all those different types of languages, what is your favorite song?
Oh, still Chinese, but I'm gonna give you an English one because it's relevant to the topic. Still New York by Max. Max. It makes you feel, the song makes you feel that you are in the city and you feel the love they have for their own community, which I just absolutely love. The first time I heard it, I loved it. Still in New York.
Great. Okay. All right. Next one is your favorite place to vacation.
Japan.
Japan. Okay. And
Yes.
why?
I fell in love with Japan when I was 12 years old, and since then I started learning Japanese. So I worked 10 years in learning Japanese and saving up money so I can go myself to Japan. And I went when I was 22. Best trip of my life. I literally was teary-eyed when I was there because I'm like, oh my gosh, I achieved this goal. Plus, I love the culture and everything, but I think it was just a dream I had as that 12 years old Pixie, and I achieved it. So it's always going to be the closest thing to heart.
Great, great. Pitsy, I want to thank you so very much. This was fantastic.
Thank you so much for
I
having
think,
me.
let's see here. One comment from Joanne Eiffel Belgrave. And this came in along when we were talking about leaders wanted to do it all and the 3 strategies. And she says, this is so true because you look for the perfect start, then you become overwhelmed.
Yeah, if there's a bonus tip, it's never going to be perfect. Just do it. Just start it. You're never going to get it perfect.
So just start.
Just start. And you figure it out along the way. As long as your objectives are clear, then you're on the right path.
So the number one strategy, again, you said, is find your objective or your goal and then work from there.
Yeah.
All right. Pitsy, I want to thank you again. Now you can go back to sleep. What time is it there in Spain?
2 a.m.
2 a.m. Thank you so much for waking up 2 a.m. and talking to our viewers all over the world. Joanne says, thank you. So
thank you, Joanne.
She is, that came through LinkedIn. So Thank you, Pixie. Have a good morning, and we
Thank
will
you.
chat very soon, okay? All the very
Yes.
best.
Have a good night for you.
All right, bye-bye. So we were talking to Pixie Cigar. She is a community builder. She's an expert when it comes to community building. And she was giving us some strategies as to how to scale our businesses or organizations, whether it's profit or nonprofit, as to how to do that, how to scale our businesses using community building. So I want to thank her for coming in, for waking up so early uh, um, in Spain. So that was fantastic. Well, that's about it for tonight. Today, I want to thank you for being here, our viewers. If this was your first time, again, thank you. If you are one of our loyal and committed viewers, thank you, thank you, thank you. Remember, we are here each week on a Thursday. You can watch us live or you can watch us in replay. Just a brief announcement we have coming up on Tuesday. Join us for our Lunch and Learn Hour, Breakthrough Lunch and Learn Hour. That is Tuesday, and it's from 12 to 1 Eastern Time, 12 noon to 1 p.m. Reserve your seat by going to jackmangroupllc.com. And our speaker is Sammy Williams, and she's going to be talking about the power of social media. She's all over social media, especially Clubhouse. So she's going to talk to us about that on Lunch and Learn on Tuesday from 12 to 1. So go to the jackmangroupllc.com and join us. Make sure that you register. Make sure that you join our community and be part of that. So until then, we will see you next week. May God bless you and your family. Bye for now.